Yes, folks, that was the message from my doctor yesterday morning. I'll explain. As you know, before Christmas, I had a chest infection. I was out at sea on the boat, coughing my lungs up, thinking, oh dear, I've got the convids. But it tested negative. And then after a couple of weeks of bad chest infection, I never went to see the doctor because it's chest infection. It's a pussy thing. You get rid of it. And so after the chest infection and after Christmas, after New Year, I tested positive for the convids and isolated, stayed at home, felt sorry for myself, and waited for it to get worse and horrible. And guess what? It didn't, touch wood. I was really lucky. But then when I tested negative for the Saturday before this one, just gone, I tested negative on the Friday, negative on the Saturday, and went out. The boat came back, as you're going to see next month on Ustra. Anyway, long story. I started to feel ill, started to feel lethargic, awful taste in my mouth. My hands were shaking a little bit. I couldn't sleep. I still had a tight chest. And I thought, what is all this about? And I thought, well, I'll just get better. I'll just rest. It's probably... And I met some people. I was at a funny do, and I met this great big muscly man. He was like, he could have ate Jeff Capes for breakfast. And he started coughing. I said, you're right. He said, I've got post-COVID. And he started to describe the symptoms I had. I said, oh dear. I said, well, funny enough, my daughter sent me over one of them oxygen things, you know, you put on your finger. And he said, what was you reading? He said, mine was terrible. I have to have Ventolin stuff, you know, that the thing that people have. Anyway, I said, my reading was 92. He said, pardon? I said, 92. Is that bad? It's quite up in there. It's quite up there, isn't it? No, he said, that's really bad. So I went home, shit myself, tested it again, 92, took me blood pressure. I've got these funny things. And I wrote to the doctor in the morning saying, look, I'm coming to see you Tuesday. This was Monday. I went to see him today. I've got, this is my blood pressure, and this is my oxygen level in my blood, my HO, whatever, O2, whatever thing. And so I get an email from him, go to the hospital now. What? And so then I get a phone call from his new secretary. Toby wants you to go to hospital now, to A&E, and have a review. I've got no one there, so I have to phone the wife. I said, Mitch, I've got to go to hospital because my car's knackered. And so she came back. I packed a little bag in case I couldn't get in. And of course now I'm told I'm not well. So I get in the car, waving goodbye to everybody and looking around at my house and the dog. And off I go. And I'm seriously cacking myself. My winkle was like that. It always swells up when I'm frightened. And now, because I know I've got no oxygen, I'm starting to feel knackered. So she drops me down at Winchester Hospital, and I walk into this A&E. Now, the A&E is like an outside tent. It's like a little plastic conservatory on there with some lovely staff nurses and a few seats. Fucking freezing. And the nice staff nurse come out and said, name, James Cameron Davidson, age, blah, 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 address, phone number, next of kin. Well, that's it. And then she took me thing in my ear, and I said, and she said, what's up? I said, well, my doctor's asked me to come to be checked out because my blood oxygen level is really low. It's a 92. I see her eyes just go up like that. I thought, oh, no, that's it. I'd already looked on the internet saying that's what people die of with the convids, of lack of oxygen in the blood. And here's me, 92. And people were saying, oh, So she brought the gizmo out and I stuck my finger in it, 96. Oh, I said, you sure that works? Yeah, I said, mine says 92. Well, these are NHS, they're collaborated, they're checked all the time. So then I said, can I try another machine? Sorry to be a pain. Stuck my finger in that, 96. Oh, now then I get a text from my doctor saying, are you at the hospital? I said, yes, I've shown a 96 in the waiting room. What shall I do? He said, well, you might as well stay there and have your bloods done, or you can come and see me tomorrow, up to you. And I said, well, my words were, I'll stand here and let them have a prod. 2 hours later, with loads of ill people coming in, I mean, they weren't well people, and I started to feel a bit of a fraud. So I went up to this staff nurse, lovely girl, homely girl, and I said, ma'am, I'm going to bugger off because you're so busy here. I don't want to add to your burden. And I'm going to see my doctor tomorrow. So I called the missus, who's now got the house on sale. That's round at Purple Bricks. And she's just putting herself on Tinder. So she's had to cancel all that. And I walked up the hill to Chilbolton Avenue, and the wife come and picked me up. And do you know what? I felt better then getting in the car. I'm sure it's anxiety. So I went home and sat down, and I went to the doctors today. So I go in to see my doctor, private, of course. I go private. I'm a Tory toff, aren't I? If I'm not at parties, I'm in a waiting room. And, you know, I don't feel bad about not using up an NHS bed. I made that chair available for someone by leaving. And by not having a hospital bed in the NHS, I've freed it up for someone less fortunate than me, haven't I? Yeah. Someone might be coming across the channel in a dinghy as we speak. But seriously, I went to see my doctor and he said, 92. I said, you're in 96 at the hospital, so that's all right. He stuck his one on. That went 97 and then went down and up again. He said, these are useless, and threw it onto his desk. And then he stuck things on my heart. He checked my heart. I said, it's been broken a few times, Doc. He said, that's as strong as an elephant's, a giraffe's heart. And then he had a little feel around with me. No, he didn't. And then he made me wee in it. He said, can you fill this up? I said, not from there. So I took it and went in the thing and filled that up with piddle. He dipped some stuff in it and that was okay. The ECG on the heart looked all right. And he had to listen to the lungs. They seemed fine. And then he took an armful of blood. So I'm waiting for the stuff. And he said, your problem might be that you're tired all the time. Do you snore? Now, he's also my wife's doctor, so I think there's a little bit of insight going on here. And she said to him, well, he snores his head off. And he said, you might have sleep apnea. So now I've got to go to sleep, I think, dressed up like one of them men that defuses atomic bombs. You know, Chernobyl men, people that are walking around Salisbury with all that stuff on. I have to go to bed like that to stop myself feeling tired. But you see, folks, this is what happens. If you've had the COVIDs, they don't just go away. They cause damage, and this is the problem. And even though we are sick, I'll tell you what I am sick of right now. I'm sick of reading about Boris and all these parties. It was a birthday party. Oh, now he's at a birthday party and caress a dick. No, she doesn't. She's now said the police are going to be probing the Downing Street parties. Have you ever known anything so ridiculous? Why don't all the politicians, all the people that hate Boris, all the people that are jealous of anyone who is successful, ignore the fact that he saved most of our people's lives and got us out of the clutches of them bloody Germans and the French? Now, but it means nothing because he's had a couple of parties and a few people have turned on him. There's Pete Schnaps, the transport minister, and he wants to find out exactly what was going on. So obviously you weren't invited. Give you some idea of how niggled he is. Apparently, it's not even a party, right? It was in the cabinet room, people working there, someone brought in, Prime Minister comes in, which you would do in the cabinet room. Happy birthday to you, Prime Minister, blows the candles out. There were only 46 candles on it, well, on his slice. And that was it. And so now all this is going on. Meanwhile, the last time I looked, there's 100,000 Russian special forces and troops on the Ukrainian border, and it really is kicking off, ladies and gentlemen, and all we can care about is was Boris having a birthday cake or not? What is up with the people of this country? Just don't vote Conservative anymore. Let him stay there and don't vote Conservative. If that's what you want, don't vote Conservative. Fine. My bag's packed. Good enough reason to vote Conservative, isn't it? So, the US are sending 8,000 troops. Denmark, okay, is sending a frigate and F-16s. This is what's going on in the real world, apart from cakes. Spain is sending fighter jets. The UK is sending troops and anti-tank weapons. The French are sending troops. Netherlands are sending their F-35 jets. And the Italians have surrendered just in case. Okay, isn't it good fun? That is the real news. Okay, everybody on YouTube. I hope the headline didn't frighten you too much, but imagine what I heard. Jim, get yourself to A&E now.
Right, had some very nice reactions to my my help last week with that dear lady, but she hasn't been in touch with me yet to let me know what the situation is. But I've been going through yours today, and I found this one here, which I must share with you. It says, Dear Auntie Vicky, last night after I got out of the bath, I bent down to pick up the knickers I'd just taken off. Suddenly, without warning, a Great Dane leapt upon me and tried to have his way with me. It was quite a struggle. Eventually he got tired of trying unpreferred biscuit. I'm not laughing, it's not amusing really. I end up being quite battered and bruised. I don't want to have him put down, but what should I do if he does it again? And that's Sally from Surbiton. Well, Sally, the first thing to do, I think, to avoid being injured is to take your dog immediately to the vets and get his bloody claws trimmed.